Hey guys, Desolate Magic here, and it's almost St. Patrick's Day, but you know what holiday comes before that? St. Bannington. This is the worst intro I've ever done. Well, they did it. They came out with the Ban Restricted announcement, which the last one we had was Meat Hook, I think. So it feels like it's really been a while. So the rumor I'm hearing is that people were complaining about the number of cards being banned ever since, what was it, like Reflector Mage or whatever? That goes back a while. And so their solution is to just ban less cards. Even when it's merited, even when really it ought to be banned. Still not going to do it. Because that's how you make a bad number go down. You just stop addressing it. It's kind of like injuries in the workplace. You just stop counting them. That's legal. That's moral. So they did it. They banned Liliana of the Veil. They banned Phyrexian Obliterator. They banned the 8 or 9 or 12 or so 2-cost on down toxic turn 4, turn 3 win trash. Okay, you already don't believe me. And that's because in Standard they banned nothing. I guess they got a hold of the Magic Conch from SpongeBob, they pulled the string, and they say, "Oh great Magic Conch, what should we ban?" And it replied, "Just file for bankruptcy already, my god! You are beyond all hope, just give up." And then they interpreted that as nothing. But yeah, they did ban Expressive Iteration and White Plume Adventurer from Legacy. And nothing from anything else, which is weird, because we haven't heard from the Pauper Committee in a while. The first, ban announcement consultation committee made of actual players. So Expressive Iteration was banned because it's Is It, and Is It is the worst thing ever, and then White Plume Adventurer because it says white. That's it, end of video. Okay, I could read what they actually wrote. So, while we've only made changes to Legacy, we closely examined our competitive formats. We quickly discussed the state of each below. I guess I'll start with the ones they did ban because they start with Legacy. So since the last update, the Legacy metagame has evolved such that 2 major archetypes combine to make up a large portion of the field. Well, who cares? It's competitive turn 2 coin flipping anyway. I guess that's more Vintage. I have never met somebody who plays Vintage, by the way. People do occasionally play Legacy, I guess if they want really overly simplistic gameplay where when you go first you have a 78% chance of winning or something overall on average. But WOTC's dirty, filthy claws reached all the way into 30 years of history like a time-traveling pimp hand and slapped you across the face if you play this format. Because, well, these were both printed really recently, so, you can't just not come up with new, innovative, interesting ideas because of Legacy. I do agree with their philosophy on that, which they have stated in the past. They have since gone completely away from what they said. But, yeah, that's White Plume Adventure. I mean, that's the problem there. So, the other one I'm not too sure on, actually. I don't really follow Legacy. Look, I consider it to be a different game. It's not Magic the Gathering. Those cards were not meant to go together at all. The level of synergy just turns it more into Yu-Gi-Oh! And it just doesn't resemble anything at a lower power. And lower powered rotating formats or just buying the last one and drafting it or, limited or even Cube, you can control the power level a lot better by putting in whatever you want. Everything else in the Magic world is slower, more skill-based, less draw luck. Legacy is just stupid to me. It's just, why would you play that when you could play Modern or Pauper or Commander? But if you like it, that's fine, but I just do not consider it to be the Magic the Gathering that I know. So it's almost like I don't have an opinion on it. Because it's a completely different abomination of a game. It's almost like a bad, stupid, poorly balanced parody of Magic the Gathering, and I just don't want any part of it. But if you do, here's the good news. These 2 menaces are gone. So yeah, these 2 major archetypes, they say their combined presence was approaching 30% of the field in some circles of competitive play. And I'm sure those 10 remaining people are very angry. So it's the perennially popular, as they put it, Is It Delver. Told you it was Is It, I wasn't kidding. And the recently enabled Mono White Initiative. That's right. It's called Mono White Initiative. It's the name of the deck. I haven't seen this much damage done to Standard since Companion. Literally, it's not even a joke. That's what they did. Did one of the cards become the second card to ever be banned from Vintage? You don't ban cards from Vintage, but you do when they're that bad. But anyway, okay, so Is It Delver has been popular for quite some time in Legacy. I hate Delver, and Delver is currently in Standard, so that lets you know just how far they've fallen. And it has picked up some notable recent additions, including Dragon's Rage Channeler, Murktide Regent, Expressive Iteration. While we acknowledge and agree with many Legacy players who enjoy a play pattern of Is It Delver and similar archetypes, winning with one stupid creature and then covering it with counterspells, I mean, that's a valid strategy in Standard. It's a little annoying, but I call it either Ender's Game or Duck and Cover, where you've got a big flappy bird and then you cover it. It's the duck and that's the whole deck. But see, in Legacy, that's just par for the course. You know it's going to be some whack stuff. Like I said, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is popular, and it really resembles Yu-Gi-Oh! Where it just goes off or you can stop it, and that's it. So they go on to say, well, we acknowledge and agree with many Legacy players who enjoy the play patterns of Izzet Delver for some reason. I mean, mental illness is very prevalent these days, and similar archetypes. Our data indicates a need to take the win rate and popularity of the deck down a notch to allow for more metagame diversity and innovation. Our choice to ban is expressive iteration, as the card quality and quantity it provides allows Izzet Delver to easily adapt to stay on top of any changes in the metagame. Yeah, for 2, you play something immediately and then you stack the deck. I mean, in Legacy, that you can't do that. And then to get a trigger off of it, it just lets it go off too easily and adapt to what you know your opponent's already going to play. So in addition to removing this generally strong card, our hope is that by removing expressive iteration, we reinforce Izzet Delver's historical strengths, efficient one-for-one exchanges, and weaknesses, lack of sources of card quantity, there you go, in a way that leaves the deck more vulnerable in the metagame. Yeah, a do-nothing deck that wins the same way over and over and over, welcome to Legacy, but one that does it while fending off anything you can do, kind of a little annoying. Since the release of Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate, the initiative mechanic has had a large impact on the Legacy format and continues to rise in popularity. You can't just not innovate because it might scare Legacy. I mean, I've said that in the past, probably in this video already. You just can't do that. But still, initiative was pretty powerful, but self-contained the product it was in, it's fine. That's why you have issues with like other Eternal formats, when you start mixing stuff together and then you get a result that was never intended. It doesn't mean be too scared to do it, so I completely agree with this one. I mean, I agree with the other one, like, okay, cool, but like I really agree with this one. It clear as day. So the current second most popular deck uses fast mana, which Legacy, to power out an initiative creature, gaining an early advantage that's difficult to recover from. Imagine that. It's almost like it's meant only for multiplayer and or commander. So to reduce the consistency and speed of this gameplay pattern, we're choosing to ban the efficient 3-mana initiative creature, White Bloom Adventurer. Initiative is basically venture into the dungeon, except it has to be Undercity. And then whenever somebody damages the person who has initiative, they get the initiative, I think until their next upkeep or something, whatever. Well, the first venture on Undercity is search your library for basic land card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle, which, okay. And then the second is either Lost Well Scry 2, which is huge, or put 2 1/1 counters on target creature, which is pretty big. After that, you've got Trap, target player loses 5 life, or Arena, goad target creature into attacking, and then they lose it. Or Stash, create a treasure token. All 3 are just, yeah, good luck. So doing that on your turn 1, their turn 0, little OP. So according to their data, they say these 2 decks are holding each other in check as well as stymieing additional metagame movement. Therefore, we're choosing to impact both decks together. There you go. See, that is why they can't take action against Standard. 1, because they're doing this on purpose at this point, but let's back up 6 months. They would have had to have banned so many decks at once because the deck variety is high, but the level of control and annoyingness and previous to Toxic coming out, Toxic in the more traditional sense archetypes, were such a high percentage. Like, what are you going to do? Ban all of Tier 1? Ban like 8 decks simultaneously? People would just quit. I mean, those people would be net decking assholes, but that's all they have left at this point. So then they just say, okay, we'll continue to monitor if these changes are enough to open up the metagame and evaluate further changes if needed going forward. And then we get the explanation of the other formats. This should be good. So Standard, the last time we updated the Standard ban list, the Meathook Massacre was banned in order to reduce the power level of black-based decks. Now remember, they've since released Liliana of the Veil and Phyrexian Obliterator, so they've lost their damn minds, and I'm still losing to mono-black decks online. You can run a control deck that's not just not Esper, which is of course white, black, blue, not even 2 of those, it's just black, because now black can do everything. Meathook really, that didn't do anything. It's not like the card was just egregious, they just powered it down a little bit, and then the release of 1 powered it way back up. The only thing that's keeping it in check in the meta is a bunch of Infect trash. And my deck. So if they're going to call that balanced and diverse, they're out of their damn minds, which I'm sure they're about to. I haven't actually read this yet. So since that time and the release of Brothers War, the standard metagame has proven healthy and diverse. One of those two. I mean, the amount of active players still playing the game seems to indicate that healthy is, you're almost like joking at this point. Like, are you being sarcastic? Is this hyperbole? Is this flying over my head? Anyway, while black-red mid-range decks are still popular, we're also seeing success from legend-heavy Esper decks, Azorius Soldiers. I'd smoke that deck. I don't even know why people play that. And various monocolored decks. How about all the Infect ones? How about all the two-color Infect? That's what's really winning. So, remember how they said Brothers War and then didn't say anything about Phyrexian will be won? Not one peep? I don't know how long ago they wrote this, but long enough ago that I guess that wasn't on the radar. Maybe time to look at some updated numbers, make a little different decision there. But you printed this crap on purpose, and what we've seen from March of the Machine, it's going to be even worse. So at this point, if they're going to say why bother, I kind of agree. But remember, the real reason they're not touching Standard is because they're about to change how the rules of the game work and what defines the format called Standard very shortly, from the worst kept rumor secret I've ever heard. So they say most importantly, we're hearing from many players that the Standard metagame is in a fun spot. Who the actual hell would say that? Who? There's not one person that delusional left in the community. Not one. Or wait, no, all the smart players left, so I guess it's only delusional people and net deckers and self-serving assholes who just want to download a deck off the internet, get free wins with it, which you can do right now. And they don't want 15-minute arena games, they just want 5 minutes so that they can go play a better game once they get their dailies done. That's what they're down to. So that's what people are going to say. This is one of those things where what you say versus what you do are two completely different things. Or like what you say you want versus what would actually be good for you, you know? So that's all they got to say about that. Pioneer. That's still a thing that exists, even though who plays it? People play Explorer, except they don't. They didn't mention Historic on here because it's a complete another digital-only train wreck, so all right. Okay, Pioneer. The recent Pro Tour Phyrexia in Philadelphia, oh, that one went well, showcased excellent diversity in deck-building gameplay in Pioneer format. Among the popular decks were Rakdos Midrange, Mono Green Devotion, nice, Gruul Vehicles, Lotus Field Combo, oh my gosh, Is It Creativity? Oh, I wonder what card that could be referring to. And more! Ha ha! Almost 20% of the field chose unique archetypes that didn't fall into the most popular categories. Wow! So people can still build new decks. It's almost like people come up with ideas and most people playing it are stupid sheep and following net decking douches. And then when hyper powerful new cards come out, the smartest people get out ahead of it and go win tournaments with it by actually doing deck building and a deck building game. I guess that's news to them to the point where they had to mention it. Wouldn't it be nice if Standard got back to that power level? I'm not saying Pioneer is a lower power level than Standard, that's idiotic, but I just mean a lower power level would achieve this, because it was true in the past, where as long as you build something halfway competent and balanced with the right ratios and a good strategy, and make the right play decisions, you can go to F&M with anything in Standard. 50 different deck ideas, and have a chance of winning. I'm not saying that, 51% versus 45, well, whatever, but like a chance of winning. We had Standard so low-powered after the rotation before Origins that you could play so many different deck archetypes. All the net deckers were like, I don't know, Goblin, mono-red goblins, is that a thing? And that was still kind of the thing around Theros, too. And then fast forward to, like, Kaladesh, it's like, oh, well, at the end of Auro Devastation, so the two-part block, you were either playing Scarab God or mono-red, or what was the other one? Ronus or something. It was like 2.5 decks. You're honestly playing one of those two. Hyper Control or Blitz so fast that they can't control you. Nothing else would win. Nothing else is competitive. And WOTC's actual answer to that in the ban announcement was, yeah, we know Chain Whirl is problematic, but rotation's coming up. Literally, they said that. Which means, well, if you want Standard to be fair, just don't play it for like 6-7 weeks. Read between the lines, what else could they have meant by that? Yeah, it's really, really bad, but rotation's coming up. So you don't want me to play the game until then. Okay, and then a bunch of people didn't. They left. And then Mono Red and Mono Green and Steel Leaf were still crap after that. So, yeah. Good job, WOTC. So yeah, they end this Pioneer nonsense with the Spotlight having recently returned to the Pioneer format. Who's playing it? What are you talking about? We expect to see continued evolution of the metagame as time goes on, but for now, things are in a good place. I'll take your word for it, I wouldn't know. Next up, Modern, which is what people are evacuating to go to Pioneer, I assume. They say, as with the last update, Modern continues to be in a healthy spot, with plenty of different viable archetypes and a relatively flat spread among the top decks metagame shares. Is it Murktide is currently the most popular archetype, so is it archetypes are winning 3 or 4 different formats and they don't find a problem with that? Sure, anyway, that's the most popular archetype in competitive play, but not by a large margin. And the deck isn't showing a concerning win rate. It's showing a concerning annoyingness rate, by the way. As of now, things are looking good, but as always, we'll keep our eyes on the metagame for the 4 players that still play it, and more high-level competitive play, or as more high-level competitive play unfolds in the future. That's a little presumptuous and optimistic. Then they talk about Vintage. Mono White Initiative is also making a mark in Vintage. Really, it's almost like it's the same damn thing, but with faster mana ramp. But our data shows that nobody freaking plays Vintage. Oh, sorry, I misread that. But our data shows that data shows this as additive to the usual metagame pillars. That's almost a sentence. Rather than a win rate outlier. With all the powerful strategies available in Vintage, a mostly monocolor creature-based deck represents a novel addition to the competitive metagame, and we're eager to see how things play out. Since last time, we've only seen Paradoxical Outcome and Hollow Vine decks come down a little in popularity, which are generally good movements for the metagame. So, one new idea that didn't completely demolish everything. You actually really don't see that very often. The Vintage metagame can tend to evolve at a slower rate. Have they been watching the last 3 years? Due to sparser opportunities for competitive play. No joke, I didn't know that's where they were going with that. Let me translate that from corporatese. People don't come up with as many new ideas because nobody's playing this stupid format, and even less people are playing it competitively. We refuse to reprint the reserve list because we, backed ourselves in a corner there. We'd rather watch Vintage and Legacy burn. Or print gold-bordered crap and then just look the other way when people proxy them anyway. So yeah, nothing evolves or changes in a format that nobody plays. It's really that simple. Vintage players are too busy, feeding and caring for their horses, crashing their $250,000 cars, and suing each other because they didn't like the way that they shuffled and they said it damaged their cards. Yes, that is a real story that happened at least once, I think twice. Vintage players are douchebags, at least the paper ones. The ones who run real, actual, original 30-year-old reserve list crap, okay? Not proxy players who just play it for the memes. Or because they want to try it. It's a bunch of stupid, entitled rich boy jackasses just bitching at each other and making the format look bad. That's Vintage. And then they say, we'll be watchful of things to unfold, but we're hearing mostly positive things from Vintage fans, so we have no changes at this time. They just called up one guy and they're like, you good? He's like, we good. All right, let us know if anything changes when you get a second person playing Vintage and actually play a match. Until then, I guess nothing changed. So yeah, Standard is a joke, and I can't wait for post March of the Machine when they change something, hopefully for the better. I don't even care if it's some kind of greedy cash grab. I mean, I wouldn't even call it a cash grab. I'd call it a final course correction if they just rotate Standard twice a year instead, but that's the beginning. What I'm hearing... And at this point, the buzz is so nuts and it's been going on so long that they're the conspiracy theories versus the actual alleged leaks. Hard to tell. It could be none. This could all be manufactured wishful thinking. I don't know. Or one of those, I'm going to start it so that people start talking and then WOTC will really do it. I don't know. Nobody took a picture of, here's the new rule sheet of themselves at a cubicle at WOTC. And if they did, I wouldn't talk about it. I don't need that kind of heat on me, but just what I'm hearing from multiple interesting places, groups, people, sources, whatever, anonymous emails, is that they're going to change something on the level of how lands work. Or mulligans, or the number of cards you start with in Standard. They're going to go so insanely hard on this. Or they'll go extra deck, we're talking that level of fundamental change. Because remember, they're talking about fundamental changes to the multiverse. Well, fundamental changes to the multiverse is just code for how the game works, how the paper card game works. So while I'm worried about that, it's what else? It's at the end of World War II. Okay, well, what could get worse? Sure, whatever, do whatever. So that's about it on the band scene. Not much more to talk about in the Magic world except for a bunch of defective products at this point. Why do I even bother? I don't know, people got some like upside down counter dice or whatever where the things are backwards. I stared at it for a while. I honestly don't know how you do that. I didn't think it was possible. I really didn't. But hey, if you want more WOTC news, and as soon as I got some time, which yes, I'm actually still working on my taxes. I did a 10-hour marathon on Sunday, still didn't finish it. I am absolutely in a numbered nightmare right now, but I'm about 95% done, so I'm going to go do that. Hopefully get them turned in by Wednesday, and then find out how much IRS is going to kick me in the nuts. So I always appreciate your support on this channel. It would be an actual miracle if I get a refund this year, but I'm just focusing on how expensive it'll be. But then I remembered my YouTube earnings are literally down 50% in 2022 compared to 2021. Which means less taxes. Woo! Also, I won a little bit less at the casino. I think I only pulled in $10,000 on my little hustle that we run there. Nice little side income there. Nice little side job I do. Playing the games in a way that always benefits me. And it's legal and it's not cheating. And speaking of that, my last ditch effort to make like a mountain of money all at once on YouTube is going to be that video. It would have already been done. All I'm going to say is I've got the footage. It's not great because of how we shot it, but I've got the footage. I just need to finalize the script and then spend 50 hours editing it because I'm going to go all perfectionist because this video could make $100,000 to $500,000. Plain and simple, I'll tell you straight out. That's the projection. So I'm going to try to get it right. But a lot of you are very interested in it. If you see my live streams or on my Discord, you already know how to do it because I already told you how to do it. And some of you already made a lot of money. Well, welcome to the club. But yeah, I'm not writing a book. I'm not selling the information. I'm just putting it out there. It's going to be on my Desolator Gaming channel, and I'm going to need you guys to watch it in its entirety, bookmark it, send it to people, whatever you can do to promote it, because that will be so much money. I'll be able to do giveaways again. I'll be able to just do crazy stuff, pay off all my debt, and then after that, I don't care. It's all going to you guys because I appreciate you guys. This is how I started on YouTube, and like I said, speaking of that, if I get enough views on it, I believe I said 100,000, I will re-edit the one video that almost got me banned off of YouTube. It's the only one I've ever gotten a strike for, and it was about 3 years older than me starting Magic content on this channel and had almost 300,000 views. My first explosive viral video. I'll edit it and re-up it if I get 100K. I will do it. Hopefully I don't get a second strike. The other one already wore off. I don't care. But look, if I got to take a 2-week unpaid vacation because of it, it's worth it because then my other channel will be hauling it in. So, hey, thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you guys next time.